Hi, this is Bob Baker. Welcome to The Creative Entrepreneur. Before we jump into this latest interview, I just want to make sure that you don't miss any of the awesome interviews that I'm posting, nearly one every week. It's really easy to stay informed. You can get on the VIP email list. It's free, and I'll send you an email every time I post a new interview. Just go to DIYCareerManifesto.com, get on the email list, and you're set. And another cool perk to getting on the list is that I will also send you a big, fat, free sample of my new book called The DIY Career Manifesto. It's the unconventional guide to turning your talents and your know-how into a profitable business, just like a lot of the people that I interview. So get on the list, DIYCareerManifesto.com. And now, on to this week's interview. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Creative Entrepreneur. Bob Baker here with another amazing guest. And this is a guy who I actually discovered when I bought a couple or so of his Kindle Ebooks, really enjoyed them, and reached out to the gentleman who was on the other screen there. I'm talking about Steve Scott. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Pretty good, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And where are you? I know you do a bit of traveling, but I just realized I'm not even sure where are you located as a home base.
Actually, originally I lived on the Jersey Shore, but I just recently moved in with my girlfriend. This is actually her kitchen.
Okay. Nice.
We're actually moving to somewhere else in Ridgewood, New Jersey. That's probably this weekend. We're actually doing a move. So,
all right.
If you look at a map where it's right on the border of New York State and New Jersey, kind of the way tippy top.
Okay, you're definitely on the east coast, so you're an hour ahead of me here in St. Louis. But yeah, I think the first book of yours that I purchased was isn't one called 61 Ways to Promote and Sell Your. I can't remember the exact title, but I think it's 61, isn't it?
61 Ways to Sell More Kindle Books, I think. I forget. Half the time I forget what I call them.
That's all right. And I really enjoyed that book, and it was really well written. And I know whether I can't remember if I bought them at the regular price or you periodically have, promotions. I know there's a whole strategy here. Maybe I'll ask you about because I'm just curious. For the last 6 months or so, I've really been getting into doing more with the Kindle store, and I understand I may be a little late to the game, as I heard it was like actually a better environment like a year ago or so, but maybe you can confirm that. But that's all. I know. I'm going to let you sort of give some details about your background. I know Kindle publishing is one of the things that you do. You've also been involved in like affiliate marketing. Mm-hmm. You're sort of you built this sort of like internet business built around with the whole concept of sort of designing a life around an internet or laptop lifestyle. But I'll let you kind of fill in the blanks and the details that people need to know about who you are and what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Sure thing. I guess the quick version is I've been doing an internet business for about 10 years now. I kind of started in 2003, and I got really into it full-time around 2005, and since then I've just been doing a variety of stuff. I guess for the most part, I would say from 2005 to maybe a couple years ago, primarily everything was affiliate marketing, specifically building email list. And about a year or so ago, I got really into, between affiliate marketing and Kindle publishing, I got into blogging for a couple of years. And I like the idea of blogging. I like the idea of sharing your thoughts, but I found it's extremely hard to monetize if you're not willing to pitch a bunch of crap that really doesn't help people. Right. But if you actually want to find like genuine stuff that helps people, I found that it wasn't the easiest to actually make money with a blog, when actually at the same time I discovered Kindle publishing, which is kind of a bridge between blogging and making money, whereas you could talk about your experiences, and as long as you have a market and an audience, you could pretty much sell your thoughts at a low discount for $2.99 or so. And ever since then, I've kind of been obsessed with the idea that any type of content website you can build around Kindle publishing in addition to other ways of making money online, i.e. Information products or affiliate marketing. So I guess basically, the last year I've really been gotten to Kindle publishing, and now I'm kind of looking currently, I guess we'll talk about that later, the next step of where I see everything going.
Yeah, I'm really curious because I've like I said, I think I got to the Kindle party a little bit late, although I think there's still plenty of opportunity there. But just to clarify, for people, so you went, I think most people probably know, but in case they don't, affiliate marketing is basically where you're promoting someone else's product or service or whatever, and you have a special link, and if people purchase through that link, you get a commission of it. But you're pretty much promoting stuff that other people have created.
Yes.
And I know you can do that through, blogging and I know there's like a YouTube video strategy where you do you'll review a product or service or unpack the box and review, a camera or something and then link to it. And a lot of people have made money doing that. But I think people quickly, and maybe perhaps you too, realize that it's a lot more lucrative actually to create your own products that you sell direct to fans instead of just somebody else's stuff for a commission. Is that the realization that you had?
Yeah, definitely. I've done information products before in the past, but the major problem with that is it's only sold to your audience. And yeah, even if you price something at $34, it definitely can be lucrative. Mm-hmm. But what I'm starting to discover, or what a lot of people discovered, is basically if you can sell your own information, but through someone else's platform where there's a built-in audience, that's where you can really make a lot of money. And that's why I love Kindle Book, because like you can publish it, you can use your audience to build up momentum for it. But then that momentum helps attract other audiences who, like yourself, like never heard of you before. And as long as you have good reviews and people like your stuff, you're more apt to sell more of your products.
Yeah. Now I know, so I've been involved in book publishing for decades, and I also am the president of the St. Louis Publishers Association, which is a nonprofit, that serves authors here in my hometown. So we've had a lot of people have had a lot of discussions about the changes in the book world, just like there were many changes and still continue to be changes in the music business. But I know there's a sort of a love-hate thing, like traditional publishers and bookstores do not really are thrilled with a lot of what Amazon has done. But one thing I forgot was some author, I think it was J.A. or Conrath. I think he's indie. Yeah, he's done really well publishing, I guess, both traditionally and going the DIY route. But I think he pointed out that Amazon serves two particular constituents really, really well, and one of them is customers. Of course, their focus is always on serving their customers and feeding them the best recommendations and all that stuff. And then two, they really are friendly to authors and indie authors, giving us a platform to be side by side with Simon and Schuster and Rand, and all these things. And so I guess that's what you're talking about. Yeah, they have this built-in audience of millions and millions of people who got and the cool thing about Amazon as opposed to Google is that people go there with the intention looking for something to buy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very much the best buyer's market that's out there, and it's becoming really, it's almost like, I'm not going to say like traditional publishing is going to die, but it's becoming the point where people can generate their own content and publish the way they want to see, like the way they want to. But I guess the one advantage of being traditional published is you have your editors, you have your people design your covers. So you also do have to learn how to pick up those skills as well as being able to, I guess, make sure the packaging and the presentation is perfect. So that's what you still get with traditional publishing. So right. I think it'll still be there in years from now, but I think there's going to be a major shakeup in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and you can hire people to edit and design, and unless you can figure out how to do it on your own. But usually, it's better to delegate that stuff for most people, unless you've got some design experience.
No, I do all the time. I have an editor, I have a book designer. Every pretty much everything I do, I pay somebody else to basically take a look at my stuff and make sure it's up to snuff.
Yeah, cool. Well, I know this isn't supposed to be a teleseminar on the Kindle platform. I do want to get to the official list of questions here about your keys to success and all that. But maybe while we're talking about Kindle, is like the new model with Kindle sort of is the key to have since the price point seems to be like in that $2.99 range, especially for like indie books, whether they're fiction or non-fiction, is the key just to have like a lot of books up there? Is it a volume situation where you're selling a whole lot of something that's low priced? Is that sort of your strategy, or?
I would say yes and no. That's my strategy, and I really have embraced that strategy. I believe that publishing every 3 or 4 weeks, almost like clockwork. Obviously, these are shorter books. These are anywhere from 15 to 25,000 words. They're not what you would consider a full length book, but since they're sold at a lower price point, I consider that a kind of a decent meeting ground between the two. Mm-hmm. But I do see other people that sell only a couple of books, but they make sure that they do a proper book launch and they really reach out and network and do everything they can to sell those books. So I see both working. For me, I prefer the kind of the publish and continuously publish and target specific topics and write books about those specific topics. I found that works for me personally.
It's good, and I noticed especially with Amazon seems to be particularly effective with not with fiction authors, because it seems like the top, the biggest sellers of indie authors on Amazon tend to be in the fiction category, but there's more and more. I think there's also some nonfiction success stories too. But in either genre, though, it seems like if you have a cluster of books or a series of books on related topics, that's the key, isn't it? Somebody like gets the first book in a series, then they're more inclined to buy the others, in the same topic.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think that's more for fiction, like you said. That's like you sell. Actually, with Amazon, you can even give away a book for free, the first in your series. There's a technique to doing that. So if you get them interested in the first book, they're more inclined to go buy the second, third, fourth book, etc. Mm-hmm. And I guess if you did that for fiction, you really have to make sure that the introductory book that you're giving away for free kind of creates that burning desire to go download the rest of them. And I tried it with one book. It didn't really work out the way I thought it would, but it still gets free downloads and still gets people interested in the rest of my books. But I definitely think for a fiction author, if you have a series, like giving away that first one can definitely help generate a lot of interest in whatever you've written.
Cool. Well, this is a great overview, and also a nice little quick lesson on the basics of Kindle publishing today. So I appreciate you sharing that. All right, Steve, so I'm going to jump into the kind of list of questions that I like to ask every guest. And
Sure.
So looking back on your sort of internet career, over since I think you said like around 2003, or I think it's been about 10 or 12 years, didn't you say, when you kind of started this journey?
Yeah, but I guess it's now 10 years, yes.
The whole decade, cool. If you were to identify 3 key factors that have led to your success and your ability to create this internet lifestyle that you live, and we didn't mention earlier that you also travel is kind of part of your lifestyle too, right?
Yeah, that's definitely at least 3 times a year I try to go to different places. Now it's more kind of vacations with my girlfriend who's a teacher, so now it's with her. But I did a proverbial backpack through Europe for 7 months a couple of years back, and I try to get to a couple of different countries every single year. So yeah, it's definitely the one of the major benefits of having your own business is you can get to travel and do kind of fun stuff as well.
Cool, and you can as long as you have a laptop or you have an internet connection somewhere, you can still run your business and update your blog or whatever, send your email offers and all that good stuff. So that's often. So 3, if you had to identify 3 factors that helped you do what you do, what would those be?
I guess the first one is kind of a two-parter. Definitely I would do what they call the 80-20, and probably everyone that's listening has heard of it, but the 80-20 is you get 80% of your efforts from 20% of your actions. Mm-hmm. So I would say first off, you always want to, I would say at least once a month, do a kind of 80-20 of your business and figure out what actual task or habit that you do on a daily basis. What is the one thing that you do every day that has the most success on your business? And part B of that would be simply wake up every single morning, spend 1 to 2 hours right away doing that one thing. And I'm talking literally wake up. I do a quick morning routine to generate energy and kind of take vitamins, all the fun stuff you should be doing every single day. But right after that, don't look at your cell phone, don't check email, don't do anything else. Do that one thing right away. And before 9 o'clock on some days, you'll have done something that will have an incredible impact on your business. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Do that on a daily basis.
20 rule. And how often do you do that? Where you sit down and figure out what those most impactful tasks are? You said monthly, or?
Yeah, I would say monthly. I wouldn't say there's any sort of like hard, fast rule. Like specifically, I know that writing now is my 80-20. That's what I do. That's the most important thing. Or if you want to take it on a different level, creating content. But for me, writing is most important. So that's the one task I do like clockwork every single morning before anything else.
Cool.
Yeah, so it really depends. If your business is constantly fluctuating, then maybe you should do the kind of analysis once every couple of weeks or once every week or so. Or if you just basically know what needs to be done with your business, you don't necessarily have to do the analysis all the time. Just when maybe things start to change a little bit, then you should maybe sit down and do that review once in a while.
Cool. So the 80-20 rule, and spend the first couple of hours focusing on that most important thing. Awesome. I love that. So
okay.
What's another?
Number 2 is, or at least with specifically with me, the internet businesses are constantly changing. There's stuff that's always happening. So it's really easy to fall into temptation to constantly buy the latest, greatest product, to learn the latest, greatest book or something like that. And this is something recently I learned. I would say if whatever you're trying to learn, whatever product you're buying, make absolutely sure that has to do with the next thing that you're trying to learn. From a specific example, like I'm about to really dive in and learn kind of maybe what you're doing is YouTube, kind of getting into video marketing, that sort of thing. So anything that I buy, anything I look at, anything I want to learn has to do with YouTube marketing, and I avoid any posts about Facebook, Kindle publishing, like anything that would distract me from learning that one skill I find doesn't really help. So like if you go and buy a product about something you're not trying to learn, yeah, you can take notes, but if you don't really follow through on that, it's kind of pointless to even learn about those skills. So I would say just kind of figure out what the next step is in your business and just focus on that and avoid all the bright, shiny things.
Yeah, I know there's a term that people have been using for years when they talk about your mental capacity, and they say like, I don't have the bandwidth for that, using a technical term to talk about your brain. That's kind of what you're talking about. Your mind only has so much bandwidth for different topics, and so keep it focused and fresh on the thing that you most need to be focusing on, right?
Absolutely. And I guess finally would be something that's pretty related to that is one business at a time. And again, specific examples, like all entrepreneurs, we all have the disease of having 1,000 ideas and try to do it all at once and try to take advantage of everything. But that's like the worst thing you can possibly do. So if something is working for you and you really want to build a business, then just focus on that. And if you take it from a getting things done type of standpoint by David Allen, just write down whatever ideas that you could possibly want to pursue. Keep that in some sort of idea capture it mechanism, but don't try to build a bunch of businesses all at once, because you just won't really get anywhere with each one. You'll get a little bit of momentum, but you won't have that kind of breakthrough momentum that you get by focusing on one thing.
Right, because we didn't mention it during the Kindle thing, and but I know your books are in different topics, and I think since I'm subscribed to your email newsletter, I know you've been kind of public about letting people know that you're actually using different author names for different series. Like you got some books like in the habits, like best practices kind of category. You got a bunch of them in the author and Kindle category. Others in in this general internet lifestyle stuff. So is that did you take that approach with those? Did you just focus on the books and the one getting a series, 3 of them out or whatever in that category all at once, and then before you moved on to the next one? Or
I definitely tried that, and actually that's kind of for my decision for where it's like I had a decent amount of success with the kind of information business. Internet business, Kindle publishing market. I've done really well with that, but now I've made the decision that I really want to focus on this One Habits website. So that's basically all I'm going to do. Even though I know I could make more money by publishing more internet business stuff, I've decided that if I really want to take this Habits website to the next level, that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing over the next 4 or 5 months, and publishing books in that market, writing content, building a list, reaching out to other people in that space.
Cool. Yeah, and I shouldn't be surprised at all that that your answers to these were about like structuring and focus and all that, and I shouldn't be surprised that you're writing in by the habits market. You're talking about things to do in the morning, to get your day off to a good start. I mean, there's sort of like time management and energy management and all that stuff. So, but in fact, even though I don't have any of those specific books, there is one where I think you have an internet lifestyle ebook that you had on sale or you're giving away or something, and I do remember when you were talking about the 80-20 rule, which I think is that the I forgot the name of the guy.
Pareto's principle.
Pareto, yeah. But I think related to that, I think you wrote about it, and then like a week later, or I read about it in your ebook, and then a week later I saw another reference to it. And I've actually been trying this lately. Is that the Pomodoro Technique?
That's my favorite. That's 25 minutes on, 25 minutes off. I change it a little bit where I do 50 minutes on and like 5 minutes off, because I find I just get more done in that block of 50 minutes. But yeah, it's basically time management principle where you focus on one task, whatever you're doing for that time block, and literally you're not allowed to open up Facebook. You're not allowed to do anything else but that one thing. And I think it teaches you mental strength and the ability to kind of really get whatever you're doing, really do it well, and not kind of do it half-ass if you're trying to multitask.
Right. And isn't it 25 minutes of focus and just a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think if you, I guess according to the way it's supposed to be done, it's you do that for 4 or 5 blocks, and then you take a half hour off between them. So I do Pomodoro Technique, but I kind of do a modified version that I found worked for me.
And I know in the examples that you use in the book that I read, many of your segments there were focused on creating content and writing new books,
Yeah.
and because to be able to crank one out every 3 weeks, that takes a lot of focus,
Yeah, you really have to have discipline. And I actually hate writing. It's just not, I don't find it enjoyable at all. But you can actually force yourself to do stuff if you sit down and structure your time and how you budget your day.
Right. I find, well, I've been writing for a long time, and actually I never suffer from writer's block, and I generally enjoy the process, but I have an aversion to starting writing, when I know I keep putting it off and I get distracted and, oh, look at this shiny thing over here. But if I can force myself or even trick myself into saying, I'm just going to write the first couple of sentences, or I'm going to spend 5 minutes on this. Once I start to warm up and get into a little bit of a flow, then it's actually a very natural and enjoyable process for me. But it's the starting of the writing, and I think that's for a lot of people. They just put off things that they think are going to be hard or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. I find outlining works for me, or basically creating beats or the idea of what you want to say next. So even if you're not really sure how you say, you at least write down some thought and just kind of continue on with the outline and stuff. And I guess the point is I never leave myself a blank page with wondering what to do next.
Awesome. Great advice, Steve. All right, there's a good overview of success traits, but now let's talk about challenges. And so, we all face them as business people and entrepreneurs. And so if you could sort of identify or point out a challenge that you faced over these last 10 years, and then how you overcame it and, what you learned from it, that would be great.
Sure thing. I guess the actual challenge is specifically for anyone that runs an internet business, but there's an actual lesson from it that can kind of apply to any entrepreneur. Basically, the big mistake I made was depending too much on Google, whereas writing content, creating a blog, basically anything around where your business is built off of search engine traffic. That's basically free traffic coming to your website from people going to Google, entering key phrases. The problem with that is it's great traffic and it really can help your business, but ultimately at the end of the day, you don't control any of that. It's Google is a website that loves to change the rules almost on a daily basis, and the challenge is when you build something off of other people's rules, it can be yanked away with you literally overnight sometimes. And I guess the major lesson I learned there is don't be what they call a digital sharecropper. Don't build your business around other people's platforms. And you could definitely make the argument that I'm still kind of doing that with Kindle publishing, but I feel that now my business is more grounded because a lot of it's based off an email list that I own. So in case somehow oddly, like Amazon shuts down tomorrow, I'll still have some type of business where I can basically publish my books on other platforms, or I still have that resource there that isn't dependent on someone else's rules. And you could do the same if you're an entrepreneur that you're based off of Facebook, you want to build an email list, like anything where you're doing something on another person's platform, you always want to have some sort of fail-safe or some sort of backup plan just in case like a disaster hits, because you really don't know what could happen.
That's great advice. It's funny. I actually wrote down digital sharecropping before you said it, because I think Copyblogger might have been the website that kind of coined that phrase. It was Brian Clark or somebody.
It was what the hell's her name? So Sophie.
Oh, Sonia Simone.
Sonia. Yeah, Sonia Simone. Yeah, okay. I think she was originally that coined that phrase, but it's an excellent phrase. It describes what kind of a lot of people are doing right now with their businesses. Yeah,
and like you said, that's a mistake that I've been preaching to bands and authors but when you use Facebook, it used to be that all the bands used MySpace as their main address, and then obviously you saw what happened with that. It sort of definitely went out of favor, and so all that energy building up all those friends on MySpace is wasted, and so I always often said your own artist or author or business website should be at the center of all your activities. All these other things are like outposts. That's another term that's been used a lot. is there just like, and I also did this, I do this workshop called Octopus Marketing, where I say that your website is the head and then everything else is the ends of the tentacles, where you reach and have a presence on all these places, but you don't use that as your main online real estate. And
Absolutely.
I tell you, I learned the Google. I mean, I never relied on Google, but because I've been online so long and I never really did any black hat stuff to do it. I just had for years. You put in music marketing or music promotion, and I was like sometimes 3 times on the first page of results from different things. And then like a year ago, I started just falling off the map, and I know what the hell is going on. And just this past week or so, I'm back on the map. I don't know what I don't know what I did. I actually did switch over to a WordPress site finally after years of just running a basic HTML. And one of the reasons was thinking that maybe it would help me. I don't know, because I know there's a lot of SEO things you can do with WordPress.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I seem to be back in their algorithmic favor. So, but no, that's an awesome idea to rely on any one source. For all your web traffic and your business, just like a consultant or a freelancer relying on one big client, to supply all their income. And
exactly, like you don't. I guess what they call the single point of failure. You don't ever want that in your business, where one thing goes wrong and then you're broke.
Right.
So
great.
You always want to, like you said, you want to be building stuff in many other platforms, and even though you might be digital sharecropping, you still want to kind of find different websites to promote whatever you're marketing.
And I'm glad you mentioned the email thing. I'm surprised we didn't talk about it earlier, but I know that's another way or a strategy that a lot of authors are doing with their low-price Kindle books is you put something up front that people can actually read, like in the sample, even if they don't buy it. That's an invitation to get some freebie to get on your mailing list, and then you could follow up with them more directly, even if they don't buy the book. But then you have that in there, of course, for the people that do purchase it, and you hope that they act on it. I know you give away like an affiliate marketing book with a lot of your internet stuff or ebook.
Yeah, I need to update that. That's been there for a couple of years, and I realized it's definitely outdated. It's on my list to update that. But anything I do with Kindle, I have some sort of free report. Like the habits, I have a 77 Good Habits book that they can download, and I guess if you're doing anything online, I found that really has been one of the smartest things that I've done is basically build an email list from the beginning, and it's just simple as find out whatever that your audience wants and give something away for free related to that, and just get them on your email list so you can talk to them in the future. And I know a lot of people have a negative connotation to email marketing because they think it's all about pitching products, but it can be just as simple as just, hey, here's what's going on this week, and you don't even have to promote a product. You just kind of keep contact with them in the idea that in the future when you do have something to promote, that they'll be there because they already know you and they've grown to trust you and like you.
Right. And I know that being on your email list for a while, I mean, I know you do periodically send out when you have a new book, a new ebook out, or you're running a discount promotion or something, but you do some pretty in-depth blog posts that are really meaty, and so you send out announcements for free stuff that they can read on your site without much of a pitch, right?
Yeah, actually, I actually have a blog post. I'm gonna do it tonight in an email, so it's about email. It's actually about building email lists, ironically, but yeah, I find that's, even if I'm not having an ebook that I'm offering, I find that just sending people back to my blog and giving them good, valuable content. Yeah, I don't make money from it, but I think it definitely helps with getting reviews and getting people to support any books I release down the road. And potentially, if I've really gotten away from affiliate marketing, but if I ever decide to get back into it, I know that they know I'm not, the people on my list know that I'm not someone that's just always pitching stuff, that I'm actually more concerned with actually helping them and providing good content. Right.
You build goodwill, you build your reputation as a resource, and so they trust you when you do have something to sell. So yeah, I definitely, even though, I agree, even though email is not it's a little more challenging to get through and get people to respond to it, it's still my number one marketing tool. I get the biggest response from when I send an offer out to my email list, more so than any other form of communication. So great advice. So here's another kind of a 3-part question that I like to ask all of my guests. So Steve, imagine you could go back and talk to your younger self, and perhaps maybe 10 years ago when you're at the start of this, internet business that you were building. If you give yourself 3 pieces of advice, it's like looking back, what would you do? What would you do the same? What would you completely avoid or not do because it was a time waster? And then what would you add into the mix? Something good that you didn't realize it until later that you should have done earlier. So we'll just take those one at a time. But what are some things? What would you do exactly the same because they worked for you?
I would say definitely it actually is a perfect segue from the previous conversation. I would say from the beginning, someone told me to build an email list and I just listened to that advice. I didn't really understand why it was important. I just did it. And that has been I would think that's been my number one reason I've done well is because I've always had an email list no matter what I've been doing online. Like, even though I tried writing children's books and that just didn't really work out, but at least there I have an actual database of a few people, like a few hundred people interested in children's authors, children's work. So if I ever go back to that, I'll always have a database of some people are interested. And every business I built has been based off of email marketing. So I'm definitely a big proponent of it. And I believe that no matter what business you're running, you should have some sort of email list. So I definitely think I did that right. I would say differently, I'm going to be honest, avoid some of the trickery and shortcut black hat techniques. It's easy to get caught into hearing about some sort of projects that's trying to game the system. And yeah, maybe Joe Schmo might have built something in the short term and made a bunch of money. But honestly, by the time they're telling you about it, it's whatever loophole or whatever trick is there is probably gone. Right. So you could really save a lot of time by just avoiding all that sort of BS, because really, if someone promises you a ton of money in a short amount of time, it's guaranteed that it's not going to work. It's like that's like the worst use of your time.
Right.
I would say finally get in the habit of creating stuff that's quality. That really depends on whatever business you're in, but I guess focus more on what I call content creation, or what most people call content creation in my business. But I guess it depends on the nature of your business, but create stuff that's good. I know it's kind of a vague, simplistic thing to say, but whatever business you're in, find what people want and get in the habit of regularly creating something that they will value. If it's for free or if it's paid, it doesn't really matter. But I guess go into that one habit I talked about, getting up every single morning, finding what is important to your business and doing that first thing right away. So if you're a painter, then like spend 2 hours painting in the morning. If you're a writer, then spend 2 hours writing, or musician, write the next song. Like, do something that is the most important thing first thing in the morning.
Cool. And so the content creation is the thing that you would have like maybe started doing earlier than you did?
Yeah, I was definitely, I guess that was the problem. I was stuck on the thing I would change is I was stuck many times trying to find that shortcut, and I fell for some of the people that promise all that. I never fell for the get rich quick. I've always been smart about that, but maybe the people that always describe these shortcuts that, when you look at it from a logical standpoint, really wouldn't work. And it was only when I just decided to make the decision to stop doing the stuff that doesn't really have value and focus on the stuff that does provide value that I feel that's where I really had my major breakthroughs.
Cool. And I know there's some like common sense strategic things that you can do from a search engine optimization point, with whether it's blog posts or YouTube videos. Yeah. I mean, you want to give them titles and use words that are you can be strategic. Like, it'd be better to put like for instance, I had this one little video clip that's up on my that I put on YouTube years ago, and it was about branding, and so I could have put Bob Baker's advice on branding, but in this particular piece, I used Oprah Winfrey and Jerry Springer as examples, and I compared and contrasted them. So I thought to myself, it's going to be a lot better if I put Oprah Winfrey and Jerry Springer on personal branding. It's like put their name in the title and in the description, knowing that people will probably be searching for them much more than my advice. And I think it helped it get some attention and some views. And so that's not like doing anything that's going to get you in trouble. It's just labeling things clearly in a strategic way that helps people find it, right?
Yeah, I do. There's definitely some room for optimization, that whatever you're doing, you want to find ways to do it better. But I think there's a vast difference between optimization and then trying to take shortcuts. Right. And I guess if whatever you're marketing, find the best way to market to them without trying to be deceptive, I guess is the best way. Like your example of using Oprah and Jerry Springer, obviously it'd be like the Oprah Winfrey and Jerry Springer Guide to Personal Branding or something like that.
Right.
Like you're just using what people's natural tendencies to get them particularly interested in your thing. And I think that like finding ways, creative ways of writing titles, finding how to search engine optimize your blog posts, stuff like that's important skills. But at the end of the day, it's the actual process of creating that content that you want to optimize is important. And I guess one mistake that I see a lot of Kindle publishers do specifically is they'll spend weeks and weeks trying to perfect the sales of one book, whereas a better strategy is to start writing that next book and use that next book to promote the past book. Like get in the habit of regularly creating something new.
Right, and I think the bottom line is you're better off in the long run, like you were saying, taking the long approach by creating stuff that's going to genuinely help people, and over time that will get spread around. Like Seth Godin talks a lot about create something that's so remarkable that people have to talk about it and share it with their friends. So you and I are both authors, Steve. I assume that we are. I know that I'm a voracious reader as well. So if you could name a book that changed your life, what would that be? And tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. I guess the obvious answers would be like 4 Hour Workweek, Getting Things Done, all the business success books. Like I love those books. But actually, my favorite book, and actually one I would recommend, is actually a fiction book.
Oh, wow.
It's called Replay by Ken Grimwood. And basically, I think I read it once a year, so I probably read it now 20 times since I read it first. But it's basically the idea is a guy dies at 43, wakes up, and he's 18 again. And through this telling of the story, he gets to relive his life over and over. And every time he makes a different decision, like the first life he lives, he just goes out and makes a ton of money. And the second life, he actually goes out and just has a nice family and the love there. And then the third one, he tries to find a meeting ground. It's definitely a fiction story with some science fiction elements to it.
Wow.
But the takeaway for me is that we don't have that ability. We don't have the chance to keep on living our lives over and over. And this sound all woo-woo and philosophical, really is one shot at doing what we want with our lives. And I read it every year just as a kind of reminder that I don't have that ability. And it is a good story, but it's a constant reminder that I should be doing stuff right now instead of putting stuff off till tomorrow.
That is awesome. No, it sounds like it's almost like a science fiction version of Groundhog Day or something.
Right? Oh, I hate that because it was written well before Groundhog Day.
But I'm sorry if I made that reference.
Oh no, I'm just joking. But yeah, it was written before Groundhog Day, and everyone's it sounds just like Groundhog Day. I'm like, no, it was written beforehand.
I fell right into that pattern.
Or Butterfly Effect is another one, but it was a book before both those movies came out. But yeah, I love that book. But
it sounds good. So, and the author's name again is Ken
Grimwood. I think it's spelled Grimwood.
Okay. Well, I'll check it out now. Yeah, I'll have links to this stuff and any of the other things that we mentioned in the show notes on the DIY Career Manifesto website. But that's cool. Don't worry about getting too woo-woo. I've had a lot of guests that were a lot more woo-woo than you, Steve. so you're in good company here. So yeah. Well, I'll just keep moving along here. And so this is a question. Yeah, I just love asking, because I never know what kind of answer I'm gonna get. But ultimately, like, what truly motivates you? It's on a deeper level. Why do you? I mean, I know some of it is self-serving about designing a lifestyle that's right for you, but I have a feeling there's probably a different reason that you maybe ultimately do what you do. Maybe I'm wrong, but
actually, it's pretty similar to what you just said. I would say personal freedom. Obviously, when I was younger, traveling, kind of living the life I wanted to live, that was important. And now, as I start to look towards marriage and having a family, I'll have the personal freedom to be there when the kids are growing up. I won't have a 9-to-5 job that I'm always going to be driving to or stuck or worry about what's going on at the office. Like I do love what I do, but I do also think it's important to have your own life outside of work and have the freedom and flexibility to you get up in the morning if something comes up and you want to do that instead, that you can just say, hey, I just want to go do this. So for me, motivation is just having, I don't like using the word lifestyle design because it's been overused, but I feel that is important, where it's like you can actually do what you want on any given day and you can kind of make your own rules. And that's actually, I think is my most important motivation is creating a business that does enhance that type of attitude.
That's awesome. I love what you said about not I guess you don't want to become a workaholic, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs tend to be drawn in. They're always working, but your whole reason for running the business or creating this is so that you can focus more on the personal stuff or balance,
absolutely.
or find a balance between the two.
Yeah, I definitely think balance, and also you want to throw in there exercise and a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, maybe I should put that on my to-do list. One of these, I don't get enough of that. Maybe I should read some of those habits books of yours. I have a feeling that covers that. So that's cool. So let's talk about some future plans. Like it sounds like you're always evolving and changing, and you said you kind of focus on one business or one growth area at a time. So I have a feeling there are probably some coming up around the corner. So
yeah, I actually what I hinted at before is basically future plans for now, or at least for the end of this quarter and probably the first couple of months of 2014, is just developing this one habits website that I have. So I realized a couple of months back that I was breaking my own rule about trying to build two businesses at the same time. So I realized that what was preventing me from doing that was writing Kindle books about internet business. And I feel almost the best way to serve that audience is to actually not write books, as weird as that sounds, and to take a step back and to actually build something from scratch and to show audience A, but also build audience B in the habits market. And actually, the more I think about it, the more I personally enjoy stuff writing about habits and talk about habits more than I enjoy talking about internet business, because I figure a habits framework can be applied to pretty much everything in life: health, fitness, personal development, success, philosophical, religion, like relationships. Like if you can habitualize any aspect of your life, you can improve it. And that's actually kind of what I'm trying to develop with my website and website I'm currently developing, and also I'm writing a series of Kindle books related to that. So the Kindle books is how I'll make money, but the actual blog and apps and other stuff I'm putting together is how I'll actually build an audience. So I'm trying to monetize at the same time as building it. But it's been an interesting challenge because this is the first time in years that I've actually sat down and started something from scratch. So it's definitely in the morning I get up and I'm excited about this.
And don't you have like a site? I don't have it in front of me. But it's related to like becoming an authority or something. You're sort of like the case studies of authority building.
Yeah, that's actually on my Steve Scott's site blog. That I actually talk about. That's actually my focus for that. Is either I have two basic things I talk about now. It's Kindle publishing and building authority business. And it's a live case study, and actually the case study is about the Develop Good Habits website.
Okay, I thought those were related, but I wanted to clarify
so
that.
So it's like for my inner business thing, I basically talk about what I'm doing to build up the Develop Good Habits stuff. So I'll definitely keep posting the results from that. But as far as publishing Kindle content, I've decided that I'm really going to either slow down the pace or I'm going to kind of take a temporary hiatus. And I really think like sometimes you kind of need to take a step back to take two steps forward.
Yeah. Well, this interview series combined with the book that's related to it called the DIY Career Manifesto, which is sort of like my little contribution to it's not the internet lifestyle, but just sort of taking your knowledge and talents and it's more of almost like a memoir, my personal story through the years and how you can apply my sort of unconventional path to your own life. So that's like a diversion for me. But I've also got like these books that I've got half written on my computer here. Like some are sort of like personal growth, a little bit of spirituality. I even got some fiction ideas, and I'm just like, I'm at a stage in my life where I want to play with these things, just throw them out there. You never know when. Maybe I'll just do it for fun. Maybe something will catch on. It'll lead to a whole new thing. I don't want to confuse my audience too much, but what are your thoughts on using different pen names, for different things that you do, or author, having separate accounts, on Amazon for the different topics?
I'm a huge believer in that. I think that you would run the danger of brand confusion if you're writing about. I guess I could have related the habit books to my internet business stuff, but I felt it was better to have two pen names. Like one's Steve Scott and one's S.J. Scott. So, and I'm pretty upfront about how these are just two different lines of books that I'm publishing. But if someone doesn't know about my internet business stuff and they come across habit stuff, I want them to buy more habits books and not be confused by internet business books,
Right.
which really, it's only a really small percentage of the population would be interested in that type of stuff. Whereas if you're picking up a book about 70 healthy habits and you see it's something about walking 10,000 steps a day, you'd be more inclined to go pick up that book. So I try my best to separate any sort of online presence I have to different names, because
Right.
it's you want to be building a certain type of audience with each type of content you're creating.
Right.
So I would highly recommend, if you're doing fiction and personal development and business stuff, I would highly recommend maybe 3 pen names for that.
Right. I've already kind of I'm already experimenting with what am I going to call myself. So that's cool. That's great advice. And so awesome. So basically, yeah, where can people find you? whichever name. What's the best place? To find all things Steve Scott related.
I guess the probably easiest would just be my blog, stevescottsite.com. Or if you're more interested in habit stuff, I guess developgoodhabits.com are basically the 2 places that I'll be posting stuff to in the next probably 6 to 8 months. And I regularly do give out free Kindle books or low discount Kindle books, so kind of check out both websites there. And I guess, yeah, I'll just stick to those websites.
Okay.
I don't want to throw too many links out there.
It's developgoodhabits.com.
Yes.
And then Steve Scott's site, obviously SITE.
Yeah.
Site.com, and I'll link to those again in the show notes. And so when people can get the same benefit that I have been on your mailing list and checking out your ebooks, so they're really it's quality content, and you pack a lot of useful stuff into them. They're not overly long, but they're meaty, for the price. And so I'm so glad that I discovered you, and I was so glad that when I reached out to you, you were receptive to doing this. It's been a real thrill. So I thank you for your time today, Steve.
Well, thanks for having me, Bob. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, this ends up this particular interview, but stay tuned, stay on the mailing list, and I'll be back with another one probably next week. So long for now.